Greetings, everybody. Very excited about this Rust Room interview that we're having today with someone who is a profound chiropractic mentor of mine. When I was a young chiropractor, he was already old, so that makes him ancient now. When I just was out of chiropractic school, literally in my early 20s, and I couldn't find my ass with both hands. I joined a thing called Markson Management Services, and I sat in a room. And I learned, I heard Larry Markson saying from the platform things that were profound as far as your headspace and about, how it's all in your head, which was the mantra. It's all in your head. And how by getting the right headspace and then supporting under that, the right procedures, et cetera, that I learned there, that it really helped me grow in practice and grow in my success. But the lessons I learned decades ago there about headspace, about getting your head in the right frame of reference, about doing morning affirmations, and about having just the rituals in place to habituate a positive headspace to create success, and how important that was. It stems all the way back to him. And more recently, I've had Larry guest spot on some of our Philosophy Formula open office hours, where and people love what he had to say. It has a massive impact when it comes to looking at your morning rituals, your affirmations, your headspace, etc. There's an expanded universe here, and these are just tastes of it. And it's evolved into something now that he's doing called the cabin experience that we'll talk about in a little while, and the why behind the cabin experience. What is it that he does there that is so special? I want you to learn about that. But this is going to be, if you'll pay attention, there's things you're going to take away from this that can have a significant impact on your life, the way you feel about your life, and the level of success that you can reach. So, Larry, thank you for spending time today.
It's a lot of fun, and you do look a little older. Not as old as me, but you look great.
I think we're all doing okay in this chiropractic thing. So you've gone through. You obviously practice, which you had a very large successful practice after you learned about how to change your headspace. And then you had Markson Management Services, which was preeminent in the profession, very large scale company. I remember sitting in rooms with over 1,000 people in the rooms learning, from you.
15 years of 1,000 doctors under contract, which was amazing even to me.
So with that many, and you had the bases where they would come, etc. And then that evolved into the Master Circle, which now has evolved into the cabin experience. But what are the evolutions? What are the differences? What was delivered at Markson Management Services? What did you learn there? Then you went to Master Circle.
I know where you're going. So I came from failure for 7 years in practice, and I went to a Parker seminar, and I walked out of that one seminar with a concept: if someone else can build a successful practice, I could. I was raised in chiropractic. I went to Palmer. I was valedictorian. I thought I was going to be the next coming of B.J. Palmer. Would never happen. But I walked out knowing that from what I was hearing from Jim Parker in that one seminar, that it's possible to change who you are and what you do to become successful. So I did that. And 1 year later, I'm seeing 100 people a day, then 150 people a day, then associates, then multiple offices and all of that. And making a backhand diving match set point game tennis shot at Wimbledon, I broke my elbow. So that how I did it was not correct. A little joke. I actually tripped on my own feet, put my arm down, and cracked off the head of my ulna. And that was the end of my practice, because I wore a cast for a year, rehabilitation. But I had associate doctors, and the practices went on without me at the same level, which was amazing. So people started to ask me informally, how did you build such a big practice? And I started to tell them, hence Markson Management. In Markson Management, we told doctors what to do, which is still the question. Larry, what do I do to become successful? We gave them the right hours, the right office location, the right signs, the stationery, the fees, how to hire, what to say, actual scripting, office layouts, A to Z, and we coached them every single week on how to make the justifications, and practices grew. Some doubles, triple, quadruple, some grew, but everyone grew. There was no question about it. That's why the success. And then I understood after a while, because we tracked their statistics every single month. So you can get quite a metric if you're tracking people's real stats, new patients, real new patients, office visits, services rendered, income, and patient visit average. What kind of service were there? We taught them healthcare class, everything. Okay. So then I noticed that people got stuck, everyone, but at a different level. Some got stuck at 150 people-ish, up or down a week. Some with 200, some with 350, some with 600. But eventually they all got stuck. And my question then became, after 16 years, why? And then I said, oh, I know why. It's a different personality, different belief systems, different insecurities, different emotional hostages, different kinds of fears and anxieties, different pressures from the outside world, religious beliefs, beliefs that were not true. So I added that component and it became the Master Circle, which is not mine any longer. I sold it some years ago. And why did I change that even then? Because the practice then grew again, higher than the first, but they got to a point they too became locked at a plateau, better, more prosperous, being happy, and all of that. But they never seem to get to the point where people stopped whipping them to do more, and they wanted to, but they couldn't, so they quit. They didn't quit, say I quit, they just stayed at the same level. And I understood why. So I'll ask your audience about it. What if we could change the way you think, change the way you feel, change the way you act, get rid of some of the emotions that hold you hostage, get rid of guilt and fear and worry and anxiety and blame? How about if we got rid of, for the chiropractic profession, fear of rejection or fear of the unknown or fear of success or fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of all the kinds of fears that people have. What happened? These are emotional things, and I found out that they started to block people. So, and then there's different kind of personalities. I'm a driving personality, and obviously so are you. So we have a certain traction. But what happens if you're a real amiable personality and just can't say to a patient, you need 3 times a week for the rest of your life and your mother's life and your father's life, you know, something outrageous. You just can't say it. So does that block it? And why can't you say it? What are your belief systems? So Pat, I found out, and I think you will agree, that chiropractic, you certainly should agree with this, chiropractors have belief systems that they attained either by their environment or by their mothers or fathers or teachers or peer pressure or newspapers or environment, whatever it is, teachers and preachers, MFTP I call it, that belief systems that are not true, but because they think that's true, they believe them to be true, they act on them as if it's true, but they're not true. So they cannot get good results because it's not in line with the universal law. And so what I started to do is take this cabin experience, 25 people, you know, and right now we have a new site in Georgia, just north of 30 minutes north of Jacksonville, Florida, that we're starting, 25, 30 people at a time that sit around in jeans and sweatshirts like you and I are wearing right now and have a dialogue and discussion, not a talking head that you and I just did at Parker to a couple of thousand people, and it's a nice and it's performance and we get applause and people feel good and they go home and repeat the same behavior. So after the initial high of a motivating seminar, they need another, pardon the pun, injection of the truth serum, you know, what sets them free. And so the cabin is about, it's a personal freedom to free you from your stuckness, free you from your habits that no longer can contribute to your success, in fact, put you in a mental prison. So that's how the cabin came.
You know, I think that everybody can relate to this on some level. Do you have any, you know, just off the top of your head, any particular, without, you don't have to disclose people's names or whatever, but, you know, so that you can protect their identities, but can you give any case examples of, so people get a you know, more direct feel as compared to more of an abstract understanding of how somebody who rises to a certain level but gets stuck, and they can find something like you're talking about that's, you know, not a procedure, not an affirmation, but literally in themselves a psycho-emotional blockage or subluxation, if you will, where once addressed, you know, they have, you know, it changes their outcomes from that day forward.
Yes, because I've seen it. I'm telling you, there have been hundreds and hundreds of people, and I can name people that have been there and have permission. People like Robin Sharma, who's an international best-selling author, and how he helped become successful. He wrote The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, and leaders of the profession, Bill Estep and Rob Jackson and Gilles LaMarche, and I can throw out all these names, and that's just name dropping, but each of them were there to learn what their position is, to make themselves aware of who they are by observing. We give them the ability to observe themselves in their environment so they can see if they're on the right path. So what would happen if you did not, a person who doesn't feel guilt? I don't feel any guilt. I did, and I was raised by the queen of guilt, so this is my personal story. Then I found out one day that guilt had no value. It only made me feel badly. So I forgot your birthday, Pat, instead of you and I always throw a happy birthday message back. And then, so you gave me stuff. Let's say, hey, Lara, how'd you forget my birthday? I said, oh, I was having open heart surgery that day. I'm so sorry. I couldn't communicate with you. I was anesthetized. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, Pat. You know I love you. And it's not Pat. This is the example, ladies and gentlemen. And he goes, yeah, but I didn't forget your birthday. In fact, I bought you a rain hat. You know? And they keep coming at you, and they come at you. How does that make me want to say happy birthday sincerely and remember next year? It does not. So I made the decision, number one ingredient of success, to eliminate guilt. And I went through guilt. 92% of the things we worry about, we never did. So all these people that come, this is about introspection. It's not a pathological process. The cabin, you don't have to stand up and say, hi, I'm Larry, I'm alcoholic. You know, that's no one's business. You don't have to reveal anything you don't want. It's perfectly safe. But what happens, I give you a method to determine which fears you have, which emotional hostages you have, how the left brain works and the right brain works, really the understanding of how they work and what brain frequency cycle that you can select to use to make them work together. I'm mostly left brain, but I learned to be right brain, and that's how I created all my businesses and things. You too. You're a left brain didactic linear thinker, but you learn creativity, visions, and concepts. So people slowly go through this process of dialogue. They can, you know what? The human brain thinks in pictures. Everyone thinks thoughts create your reality. That's not true. It's thoughts plus the actions you want to take that are commensurate with the thoughts equal a feeling, an emotion, an energy field that attracts to your life. Those feelings attract to your life that which you are. So if you learn or accept the concept and the value system that I can take responsibility for me. It wasn't my father, it wasn't my divorce, it wasn't the death of someone, and it's even those things tell you who you are. How do you react? Here's an example happened in the last cabin. One woman stood up voluntarily and said, you know, I've been sad because my mother passed away. And I said, well, my condolences, I'm very sorry. I said, when was that? She says, 3-4 years ago. She was my best friend. And you could see this one was down. She said, I haven't been the same since. You know, she's technically, figuratively wearing black. You know, the crepe of mourning. And I said, what happened to your practice? And she said, oh, it's down half of what it used to be. Nothing I can do to get it back. I said, are you married? She said, yes. I said, a good relationship? Said, well, it's been better. We have some struggle these days. And what about your children? She had 3 children. I don't remember. So I questioned her. I said, since your mom, your best friend, was so important to you, since that time, have you showed up as the best mother, the best wife, the best friend? Have you worked on yourself? Is your weight still there? Do you still exercise? Do you watch your nutrition? Are you the best? She said, no, you don't understand, Larry. Men can't understand. My mother was it for me. So I gave her a choice out loud. I said, well, that's some burden to carry for all these years. If your mother was the best, and I believe she was, and if there was a heaven and a hell, I'm not addressing that one, but if his good people went up and other people went other places, where would your mother be? She said, oh, heaven, she'd be right there. I said, good. So she's looking down on you now, watching you cry, hurt, not be the best mother, the best spouse, not contribute to society or humanity in any way, feeling sorry for yourself, literally. And why don't you change that thought? If she was so great, why don't you honor her and not mourn her? Honor her by being the best you can be, blah, 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 blah. So you can hear where I was going. So the women started to gasp, how dare you say that? You know, and the men were, and then eventually people came around to a different concept. That woman now, 3 years later, her practice is not only double what it was now, back to normal, but it's about 50 or 60% ahead. She has divorced and remarried. She is thoroughly happy. I can give you her name, but I won't for what reasons you said. That's what happens at the cabin. It's not a magic wand. It's people purging. Now, she happened to say that. You don't have to say that. You can sit there. But can you see what happens to change a concept from mourning my loss, how selfish, to honoring this person that I cherish and admire and love? That's why I copy you, because you're very articulate and somewhat good looking.
So, and I think, you know, many people can relate to that when you have a, lack of a better term, like a known blockage or a known thing that just has you lose your zeal for achievement or success. You know, it's depression in essence.
But everybody has a block. They just
but now my next question is, that one she knew. She was able to say, you know, ever since my mother. Right. Most people have them but don't know them. Would you agree with that premise?
Yes, we go through them. We go through them, you know, all the emotional blocks by category, and people. I have not chalkboards, you know, flip pads, 6 of them there. There's 6 basic fears and 100 categories under, and we put up like fear of rejection, and I describe it. And we all describe rejection: a peach and quitting too early. Right? Or you needing to fire someone for 3 years, but you just can't do it. I just had someone, I said, why don't you terminate this person? You know, and he said to me, well, Christmas is coming. I said, this is August. In other words, you just couldn't do it. So you're willing to sacrifice yourself by having a C front desk associate, and you're wondering why your practice is not going, because you're not willing to be the bad guy, quote unquote, to let her go to get someone that can contribute to your success. So we get these categories, and people call it the names, Larry, Alan, Alice, Mary, Marianne, whatever it is. And they see out of every cabin has 25, 30 people, 18 to 21 people are on every single chart. Some are on 5 charts. So now you've identified where it is, and we give you a process, too long to describe, to work on that. So let's say if there's 6 basic fears, which there are, and you could identify, Pat, the first one, the worst one, fear of flying, you know, whatever it is, fear of dying, right? And get rid of that one. All of the rest start to fold by themselves. So I had one guy now that turned down a job of $250,000 a year, where he was making $75,000 a year as a producer for a major league NFL team. He was producing, but their new studios were on the 50th floor of an office skyscraper. He was afraid of elevators. 1 year later, now he's making the $250,000 and takes his kids up. And what motivated him? His daughter said, "Daddy, if you are going to walk, I'm walking too." That day he came to the cabin. So you don't have to have a tragedy to decide. How about people that come? The fastest people that come are the people that are already successful. They want to know how to get better. The people that stuck accept themselves. They go like this. This is a kiss of death. They go like this: I am who I am. That's what I was meant to be. It's okay. And then worse, they go like this, Pat. When you say, well, how come you're seeing 60 people a month after 22 years of practice? And they go like this: well, I'm comfortable. Correct?
Correct.
So the cabin experience and everyone's there for one goal. See, we have the same intent: to make ourselves better, to contribute more, to get in touch with the laws of the universe. Because if you're lying, not lying to me, but even lying to yourself, how many people say, I'm going to go on a diet Monday, and Monday it never happens? So you actually train your brain not to listen to you. So anything you want in life, you don't get. You attract that which is in your subconscious mind, not your conscious mind. So, and then there's 9 different personalities and the subheadings of personalities. So if I'm an 8 personality like you are, a driving personality, and I'm going to talk like this to Mr. Rogers, who has a 9 personality, very amiable person, I'm going to frizz his hair, even your hair. So you have to learn to adapt to environment, and the affirmations and goal setting and visualizations, because the mind thinks in pictures. Visualization is so important. Meditations, not formal meditations, but enough to lower it down. And when you watch this and you put it together, I can show you. How about this, Pat? I'll prove it to you. We just had a cabin in my home because the old cabin was sold in my home, December 3rd, which is only last month, sometimes 6 weeks ago. We had 20 people, right? Their testimonials, unsolicited testimonials, are on my website, which I invite all of you to look at, www.thecabinexperience.com. Flag through that. And better yet, because of you, Pat, I'll give them an invitation. If any of this resonates with you and you want that help outside of what you're doing now, I'm not stealing you. It's only 25 people. But if this strikes a chord for you and you're interested in spending 3 full days, not me lecturing like I'm doing now, but in chat and dialogue and discussion, and really, really willing to pay the price to change, which is a steep price, pick up the phone and call me. That's on my website too. And I will speak with you. If you're on this today, I'll find the time. We'll speak for 15 or 20 minutes or whatever it takes, not to talk you into coming to the cabin experience, to talk you into the decision to improve your life and be more joyful and happy and satisfied. I think that's what I've been working on at this phase of my life. And the rewards, I don't get rich, Pat. There's not a lot of money here, but I've got to tell you, the rewards, I'm blessed, as you know. I'm 75 years old. I'm still strong. I'm still vital. I still want to contribute, and I love helping chiropractors. So what would happen if all the barriers were taken away? How far could you go? And I've watched you grow.
And incidentally, you're already rich, so
in a lot of ways. I'll tell my grandchildren you said that.
Yeah, but don't tell them they're not in the will.
You just moved out. You are in it. See, the reason it's important for me to talk to your people, because you attract different members and clients and friends and constituency than another person. Why? Because you attract people that are philosophically sound, want to be strong, like ethics, like health, like holism, believe there's a universe that's smarter than finite human minds. So you attract that into your life. And as I go through your circles, and I've been a guest speaker for you, and you just were for us the other day, and our friendship goes on, and we're totally different people. Totally different, and we get along, and we don't judge each other, and we just love each other. That's what it's about.
That is what it's about.
That freedom. I get excited about this.
And it's obvious, and it's inspiring to see that after over 50 years, in the chiropractic game, here you are still inspired to do what you're doing. So again, I'll just say this before I have one last question for you. But go to thecabinexperience.com. All the information is there. And also, I would not miss the opportunity to get a one-on-one consult with Larry on the phone. That's something that could change your life in and of itself.
And the next, if I can give a commercial, the next cabin is April 27th to May 1st. So it's 3 days. But if you are interested, you need to move along, because you and I just did a seminar together, and I haven't even sorted through the people that are interested yet. So we'll have to make the next one after that is in August. It's on the website.
Yeah, and some people might be watching this a year or two from now. So just go to the website, and whatever the next one is, you'll be able to see, because these it's funny with these restroom interviews. Some I did 2 years ago, and I see people still are watching them like now, so it's interesting how that works.
To me, I'm rusted. So I'm rusted.
Yeah, well, it's what's the old adage? If you want to be near perfect, you don't want to be ripe, because then you start to rot. So I'd say that we're not quite ripe yet. So now I'm going to ask you a thoughtful question, just in closing. You're 75 years old, as you said. Let's turn the clock back 30 years. If today, with all the wisdom and experience that you've collected now over all these years, if you could talk to your 45-year-old self and say, here's some things I want you to know, what comes to mind? What would you tell yourself 30 years ago?
Well, okay. First, get crystal clear on your mission purpose, or your statement, your purpose statement, or your mission statement, on your intent. You must drive the bus. You must know where you're heading. You must have. You have to reach into the future. I would set goals earlier than I ever did. I would pump myself up by doing daily affirmations, which I still do, to tell my brain and train my brain. over and over again. I would do all the mechanisms that we've been speaking about today, but I would do it in such a way that does not allow average people to try and suck me back down with them. It's okay to go out and get drunk every night and then put that on Facebook. Come on, be real. So they just want to take us and make us mediocre, just like them, to make themselves feel good. And I'm saying you have to be willing. If I was 45 years old again, I would be willing to step out from the crowd and understand that some are going to be shooting, but be very proud of it. And then I would always, this is the balance, reach back down and help someone less fortunate that cannot help themselves. As a matter of fact, every single cabin I just said it to has one person free, right? One person that can't afford it, has no way of paying that. That's my contribution back to the law of cause and effect. So it was just crystal clear. Not, I want to lose weight. How many pounds? When do you want to lose it by? And what are you going to do to that? And what kind of exercise, what kind of diet, and what kind of belief system? Not diet for a wedding. Get healthy and stay that way.
Terrific. Well, Larry, as always, I so much appreciate you spending time and sharing your wisdom and your energy, which is still pouring out of you with this audience and for the people who enjoy the Rustrum interviews. I highly recommend that people do follow up in what we had talked about. I mean, your teachings over the years for me have had a profound experience. So I'm happy now to say, hey, this has worked for me and I want it to work for other people too. So as always.
Let me interrupt one more time and say something about you. I have watched you grow from that 24-year-old person, somewhat confused, somewhat uncertain, but a sponge of information, acted on what you were told, tested it to see if it fit you and your personality. And now, many years later, look at the legions and legions of chiropractors and CAs that you have influenced positively around this world. So you have your own legacy, and you're just younger and have more to do now. So I'm going to pass you the torch. It's up to you now to keep it going, then pass the torch to someone else. In our chiropractic field, too many chiropractors are not successful in healthy and happy, and it has nothing to do with the principles of chiropractic. They work, we know it. It has to do with us. So I want to publicly, and this is not because of our friendship, is acknowledge you out loud that you in turn have become a mentor of mine. Sometimes the teacher teaches a student and then has to step back and let the student now teach the teacher. That's you.
Well, thank you. And I don't even know how to respond to that except to say thank you. And all I could say is, it's been such a meaningful relationship over a period of decades, and I look forward to further decades of it. So for all of you who are, again, watching this, you might want to watch this a couple of times. Larry speaks fast. It's from the East Coast, so you guys maybe slow it down. Especially if the people down south, they might want to slow it down a little. But nonetheless, if you can catch the spirit of what's being said here, it can absolutely change your life. And if it's something that is resonating with you, you should definitely check out the Cabin Experience. And I appreciate all of you taking the time out of your day. I hope this added value. My whole point in bringing Rustrum interviews to you is to add value to your life, not to waste your time. So thank you for tuning in. Again, Larry, thank you so much for all you do and have done. And with that, we're going to sign off and say we appreciate you. We wish you the best of success.
It's a pleasure. Good night, everyone.
Take care, everybody.